It is Friday. He is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby.
What
we
up,
are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
The people kind of got what they wanted last night between the Lakers and the Nets, but there was no KD, there was no AD, and late Schroeder was scratched. But the Nets looked good in the win. Jalen, what do you think about the Nets?
I tried to tell you, and you're an amazing NBA analyst, a terrific television host, and
After a
no
compliment
one
always
loves
comes an insult.
basketball more than you. But you were also the guy that tried to make me think that this was going to be the greatest regular season game of all time.
Never said that.
Like you were so upset that I wasn't enthusiastic about this game. And I specifically told you, with AD, the Lakers are invincible. Without AD, they're vulnerable. And that's what we saw last night. Kyrie didn't play well. He was 0 for 5 from 3. But everybody else was making their catch and shoot threes. They were still making plays. Harden was still doing his thing. But my focus, again, is on Lakers and how drastically different they are going to be without Anthony Davis over these next few weeks. And I hope it's not something that's going to linger, because like I told you weeks ago, we got the Jazz are the best team in basketball without Anthony Davis in uniform.
Well, the bad news for the Lakers isn't just they lost, but they lost AD and they went from 2 to 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and that is a concern. But focusing back on Brooklyn, one thing that they've been doing on this West Coast trip, hitting all their shots. Like, they've got shooters and shooters and shooters. It seems like they've got like 5 or 6 guys that shoot over 40%. And look at Joe Harris shooting over 50% from 3. Jalen, can they keep this up?
Shout out to Cabarrot, earning minutes, making plays. You know, a lot of times players like that come out of nowhere, you're going to need them to be rotation players. And Brown hustles, and he plays D, and he's really scrappy also. I know we're going to focus on the big 3. But it's not just them making threes. It's catch and shoot threes. And why is that important? Because Kyrie and Harden, they love to ISO. KD loves to go one-on-one. So Joe Harris and those other guys, it's important. Launch, fire. Catch, fire. There ain't no time for y'all to create. When Joe Harris dribbles 2 or 3 times, that's an accident. When Cabarrot drinks, that's an accident. And so making those catch and shoot shots are their offense. So now they're executing their offense to the optimal ability because they're actually getting the threes that they want.
Absolutely. There's also another event last night. LeBron James eclipsed 35,000 points. Only 2 other players have done it in the history of the NBA. Jalen, he's about 3,000 plus down from Kareem. At his current pace, about 25 points a game, he could catch Kareem in about 2 seasons. Do you think that he will become the all-time leading scorer in NBA history?
So in particular, and this is the greatness I want to salute to the king, LeBron James. I'm gonna actually put a number on it. And shout to, you go ooh and ah when I jump in my car. People treat me like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And the mailman always delivers. Big shout to those OGs who played up front. But LeBron top 5 in assists as well. And he gonna keep climbing on that list. And you said 2 seasons? It's not 2 seasons. LeBron James is bringing it every night because he knows if he averages what he averages now, he could be the NBA's all-time leading scorer. We should do a countdown starting today on this show. 131 more games. 131 more games. So no, LeBron James ain't about to be load managing this year. 131 more games. When he get those games under his belt, he gonna be showing up with glasses of wine again at the game.
He knows that the GOAT conversation is still a conversation. He wants that MVP, he wants another championship or 2, and he wants that all-time leading scorer mark. Moving on to the All-Stars. Jalen, we have the starters of the All-Star game, and they forgot about Dame. I don't know what happened. The fan vote, they voted Luka in instead of Dame Lillard. Why is Dame Lillard not starting in the All-Star game, Mr. Rose?
I'll tell you why Dame Lillard isn't starting in the All-Star game. The same reason There were multiple years in the past that he wasn't starting in the All-Star game, that the fans get the vote, and he plays in Portland, and they play at night, late at night, as it relates to East Coast fans. That's all it is. And it ain't just happened to Dame, everybody. This been happening since the beginning of time with the fans voting. I remember my brother Bubba Chuck, Allen Iverson, wasn't starting for the Pistons, but started in the All-Star game. You see what I'm saying? And so this is why they continue to try to modify how many, the power of the fans, and try to get the media more power and try to get the players more power to try to split the vote. But ultimately, I just don't believe the fan vote should affect the starters at all. I don't think the fan vote should affect the starters at all. Because we know if it didn't, then Dame Lillard would have been starting over Luka. But since Luka plays in Dallas and he has an international flair and he's a fantastic player, he's going to be probably more popular amongst the fans getting their votes. And so therefore, Curry and Luka going to probably be starting the next 5 years in the All-Star game if the fan vote is still the way it is right now.
Now, Jalen, you remember when Giannis Antetokounmpo, you see him as a starter in the East? Remember when he signed that contract and I told him not to? I tried to tell him not to sign, just to wait for 1 year because that exact same deal will be waiting for him after this season. Well, he signed the contract anyway, didn't listen to me. And now the Bucks, they've lost 5 games in a row, and they just lost to the Raptors last night. Do you think Giannis regrets signing that huge, long deal with the Milwaukee Bucks?
There aren't any regrets when you almost sign for $250 million. You get the bread first, especially during a pandemic. You get that money. And then if this season happens and you look at the squad, kind of like James Harden, and decide that, you know what? Porzingis, Luka, I'll fit kind of good with them. Butler, Bam, I'll fit real good with them. Then you go to the squad and let them know that the window is closing. For the people that watch this show, you know I'm a champion for Giannis and how much I want him to stay in Milwaukee. Stood on the table, still standing on the table. I want him to stay in Milwaukee. You know why? Because yes, their roster has some flaws and they're playing without Drew Holiday and they're not really athletic on the wing.
Nope.
But most of the time, great players get a pass from the media because we say, oh, the organization ain't doing enough to build around them. And that's true in many cases. However, we don't acknowledge the weaknesses of that great player. And Giannis has to get better too, making threes and making free throws. And when your best player can't close, that's why they're the only team in the NBA, when trailing going into the fourth quarter, hasn't won a game.
Hasn't come back once.
Hasn't
come back once this entire season. And you know, you have been standing on the table saying he should stay in Milwaukee. I went the opposite. You know me, I like the drama. I'm joining Luka. I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to Miami. I'm out of there if I'm Giannis. And if I am Giannis, I'm also having second thoughts. Even though he did sign for $250 million, I am having second thoughts about my future in Milwaukee this early in the season. Well, there was a big trade in the NFL. Carson Wentz is now on the Indianapolis Colts, reuniting him with Frank Reich, where they had success when he was in Philadelphia. Jalen, does this make the Colts one of the top contenders in the AFC?
So I talk football, carry a baseball bat, and wear a basketball jacket. And I'm bringing that up because do you think if the Padres start slow that Fernando Tatis gonna regret signing with them? No. We only think about that when it comes to NBA players because they, in our mind, have ring chased. But for the Colts, this is turnkey. Like, I know they wanted Phillip Rivers to stay, but to be able to roll the dice on Carson Wentz's potential for a second and a third with a terrific run game and offensive line, they have weapons on the outside and a good defense. People thought that they had a chance to contend with Phillip Rivers. And over the last couple of years, even though Wentz has struggled, if I had a stock, clearly I would rather have Wentz going forward. And now they have him. So I think this is great for them. I really believe he's going to resurrect his name and his career.
Do you think that Jalen Hurts will now have the opportunity and establish himself as a franchise quarterback in Philadelphia?
I got news for Hurts, and it's just fine. People sometimes gonna always underappreciate the greatness of a Jalen. They're gonna always sleep on you, always doubt you, tell you what you're not. You just gonna go to Alabama and ball. When you transfer, you're gonna ball at your next location. When you get to the league, you just gonna ball. Whether you're coming in and off the bench, they can bring in competition for Jalen. They can do that. Every quarterback has competition because everybody got a backup. But when it's a Jalen, it's like, oh my God, they're bringing somebody in and he gonna have to fight for the job. Oh man, it's only like about 10 people who actually know that they're gonna be the starting quarterback guaranteed this year. It's a quarterback carousel this offseason for that reason.
Jalen, it is time for soft move or boss move. A gentleman in England was wanted by the police, and during the pandemic, he called the police on himself and told them to come pick him up and bring him to prison because he wanted some peace and quiet, and he was so sick of the people that he was quarantining with, that he lived with. Jalen, what do you think about this move? Soft move, boss move?
This is definitely a boss move. And what you don't know, I did some research on this topic.
No, you did.
And I found out something. His name is David Dowling Jacoby.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, the pandemic can get tough with 3 little kids and a wife. Before 8 a.m. this morning, I had a full-on screaming argument with everybody in my home. I might have to do this. Sometimes prison doesn't sound that bad. Get me some books, some peace and quiet.
3 hots in a cot, baby. You know what I'm saying?
It took me 25 minutes to put socks on one of my daughters this morning. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm about to cry. Go break, Tommy. This is making me sad.
You might get to have your own TV for good behavior.
Jalen, LeBron James scored 35,000 points. Now he has his sights set on
Salute.
the music industry. We'll talk about that and much more. Stay tuned. You are watching Jalen and Jacoby.
Jalen and Jacoby is brought to you by Geico. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance.
Coming to you live above the Heineken River Deck here in Pier 17, the Seaport District of New York City. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, it is time for the segment where you decide what we discuss. It is Keep It Moving.
Wu-Tang! Wu-Tang!
If you would like to discuss the topic, say hit the brakes. If not, we will keep it moving. And we start with the Miami Heat getting a win against the Kings. Jalen, my question for you is, should both Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler be all-stars this year?
They're clearly all-star performers in the NBA, in particular the Eastern Conference. They both had triple-doubles in the same basketball game. They're dynamic defensively. They play multiple positions. Both of those guys this year ain't making the all-star team. If you just look at this, how the Eastern Conference has now reshaped itself, adding Harden, Kyrie, and KD is just gonna take spots away from somebody, and you're gonna reward winning. Tatum and Brown are gonna get spots. It's gonna be interesting to see, but don't be surprised if one, if not both, of those guys are left off.
Jimmy Butler missed a lot of time, and you have Tobias Harris making a case for the All-Star team as well. Jalen, next up, we have Gonzaga, undefeated in men's basketball. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Gonzaga versus the University of Michigan. This year in the NCAA championship. I'm gonna be rooting against a Jalen that day. Keep it moving for now.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
The Dodgers are projected to win a lot of baseball games this season. They have a over-under win total of 104.5, the highest of this century. Jalen, what do you think about the Dodgers?
I think that in baseball, if you have terrific management and decision makers and a blank check you can put together an expensive, all-star laden team that can all of a sudden have a kind of payroll where one or two of your players make more money than other teams that you're actually competing against. Their pitching staff is filled with aces, and you know they got my guy.
Say it. Somebody that loves you like Jalen loves Mookie Betts. Moving on, Netflix has announced a Biggie Smalls documentary. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Dog, if you don't hit the brakes, don't play with me.
They dropped a trailer for the upcoming documentary, Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell. How excited are you for this one?
Listen up, I got a story to tell. Listen up, I got a story to tell. Gone but not forgotten, taken way too early. And a lot of people who are now discovering the greatness of the Notorious Big, he was only alive for his first classic album, Ready to Die. Life After Death, he got a chance to shoot Hypnotized video, but he wasn't alive when that classic album even dropped. And he was so dope, people still consider him the greatest to ever do it. Rest in peace, Big. We're gonna get you that statue in front of Barclays that you deserve.
Is LeBron James gonna put out a hip-hop album? So he said that he wants to make a rap album, but he does not want to appear on the album rapping. Your thoughts, Mr. Rose?
This is easy. Athletes, entertainers always cross over. It's a compilation. He can put together, and by the way, you know he's doing a movie. It could be a soundtrack or anything. He can executive produce an album. That's something he definitely gonna do in his future, and don't be surprised. He loves music. He's always posting clips of him listening to other people's bars. He be off key sometime, but not as much as me.
Yo, he can memorize a song like before it even comes out. He knows every word to every song. I'm like, does this guy ever play basketball? He just listens to music all the time. Jalen, I've got a video of a snowman that it's really gonna hit home for you.
The breaks.
Jalen, check out this snowman getting a shape up. Your thoughts?
I thought that was Jalen Rose Barber. Is that Andy Authentic? Is that Shiz? Is that Hawk? You know we keep it cold. You know we keep it crispy, Sub-Zero.
That snowman got a better shape up than you right now, Jalen. I never thought that'd be the case.
I'm just letting my grass
What's the timeline? What's the timeline of you getting a shape up?
All I know is this. People feel like I got a cheat code and I be doing all kind of crazy stuff. These are the wolfing days, Jacoby. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting the grass grow. I'm fertilizing it. But yeah, that look cool.
We need to get you a cut. I'm gonna Venmo you some money so you can get a cut.
The most famous snowmen that I knew were Frosty and Jeezy before that.
Jalen.